Alright, so for this week's guitar lesson, we have a very basic chord progression. 3 chords, an E, A, and a B chord. And when I strum it like this, it's so incredibly boring. And I know a lot of you are in this situation where you know how to play all your basic chords, but you want to make them sound more interesting. And so that's what this week's lesson is all about. How do you take those same basic chords like that and just embellish on them? So by the end of this, it'll sound like this. Hey, this is Brian with ActiveMelody.com. Well, as I mentioned, we're going to be learning about embellishments and how we take some basic chords and we just embellish them and make them sound much better than they are. So in this video, we're going to be looking at what to play over an E, an A, and a B chord. But you don't want to be limited to just one key. You want to be able to play this in any key. And so for premium members, I have an extra video that explains how to transpose this and play this in the key of G, which you could then take that and play it in any key because there's no open strings. So I've got that extra video for premium members if you want to watch that. I've also got the tablature for both keys as well as the on-screen tab viewer, which is interactive. So you can get all of those things if you want by going to ActiveMelody.com, go to the weekly lessons page, and do a search for EP367. All right, so I find myself playing more of these embellishment licks off of chord shapes than probably anything else. Because most of the time, especially if you're jamming with other people, you're not always playing a solo, and when you're playing rhythm, most people, if you have a group of guitar players, most people are just going to be strumming the chords. They're going to be looking at a chord chart or something. You don't want to be one of those people. You want to be somebody that can go a little bit beyond that and play some more interesting things. Also, for those of you that are solo performers, you sing, play guitar, and you're looking for fill licks, things you can do in between the verse, or in between the phrasing, in between the chords. What can you do to just sort of make it sound a little better? These are great for that. And so they're great in between vocal phrases, if you're playing with another vocalist, all that kind of stuff. So you can keep all that in mind as we go into it. Now the first thing that I'm going to play is really looking at, I'm thinking about two chord, it's the same chord, it's an E chord, but I'm picturing this chord shape, which is the one the E chord down here. But I'm also picturing an E chord up here using the D chord shape out of the caged system, C-A-G-E-D. I have a lesson on that, EP367, if you want to go back and refer to the cage system and how it all works. But this is an E chord when you play a D chord up here. Now just playing the top 3 strings. But what I like to do is, when I'm playing in the key of E, now this doesn't work in all keys, this just works in the key of E. I'll show you how to do it in all keys, but in this case, we're going to play strings 1 and 3 on the 4th fret, but we're going to leave the open 2nd string, that open B note. So the B note would be in the E chord. So anyway, we can take this shape now and slide it down 2 frets. Now you know where this shape comes from. It comes from that E chord shape up here. Slide it down 2 frets and then down to the E. So what I've just done in my mind is I don't just have an E chord like this when I'm strumming. I've got this, and I've got this. And I've also got this, and I've got sus chords and all that, but we're going to get into that later. But anyway, that's what this is a way to think about the E chord with these embellishments like that. The other way you've heard this chord is with blues, when you walk it down chromatically, so you can do a lot of stuff with it. Okay, so when I started this, I slid in on the 3rd string there. We started on the 2nd fret actually, slid up to the 4th, and then I hit that low 6th string, the open E. Come down to the E chord. And then we go to the 4 chord, which is the A. And then back to the 1 chord. Now this right here, let me show you how to play it, then I'll explain the theory behind this to help you be able to use this in anything. So we're just going to bar the first 4 strings on the 2nd fret, and then we're going to go I'm doing a slide there from the 2nd fret, 5th string, up to the 4th fret with your ring finger. Make sure you use your ring finger for that so that you can come up here and bar with your index finger. And then we're going to play strings 4 and 3 out of that 2nd fret, back to the 4th fret, 5th string, and then watch this. That's a hammer-on between the 2nd fret and the 4th fret on the 4th string. But you're also playing the 3rd string behind the bar there. So you have, and then back to that 2nd fret. And then we're going to conclude that lick with, so this is where we bar the first 5 strings now on the 2nd fret. We're going to play strings 5 and 4. And we're going to do a hammer onto the 4th fret, 5th string. And then a slide from the 2nd fret to the 4th fret on the 6th string. And then we're going to come up and play the 2nd fret, 4th string, down to the E, the low E, the 6th string. Now that seems like a lot. Let me back up and play that. Now obviously as a premium member you have access to the tabs, so you can get in under the hood and super scientific with it that way if you want. But let me explain what's going on here. This will be a big light bulb moment for a lot of you in terms of embellishments off basic chord shapes. So the A chord shape that we're playing off, which is the A chord, you have this box here between the 4th fret and the 2nd fret on string 3, 4, and 5. What I mean by that is anytime you're playing an A chord, you've got all these little things you can do between that 4th fret and 2nd fret. Anytime any of those notes are going to work. So try that. Just play an A chord and see what you can start to do with it. What's really cool is you can take that and play it in any key. So you don't have to just do that with an A. If we wanted to play a C chord using the A chord shape, so we take that chord shape and slide it up, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to replace where my pinky is in this case with my index finger. But I've still got that same box. This case it would be between the 7th fret and the 5th fret. String 4, 5, 3, 4, and 5. So now, I've got these embellishments off that C chord, but it's using the same concept that we just learned there. So anyway, that's one of the light bulbs. The other light bulb is what you have off of the E chord shape. So that's the A shape that we just learned. Now the E shape, you've got the same frets, fret 4 and 2, but it's going to be strings 4, 5, and 6. Same thing, but we just slid everything down a set of string. So now if I'm playing an E chord, I've got right? All of these licks, you can make them country, you can make them blues, rock, whatever you want, but they're off of that chord shape. And I like to connect things to chord shapes because if I wanted to do this in the key of G, I just look for my E chord. There it is right there. So that little box, right? It's right there. So now you've got these two zones that you can play within off of the A chord shape and the E chord shape. And so all of that was to explain why that works. So you can see you're going, that's off the A, and then that's back to the E. Let's take it from the beginning and play up to that point. Okay, now after that, we're going to come up here and play an E chord. We're back to the E chord now. But instead of me playing it down here, I wanted to play it in a different position to show you some different options. So we're going to hit that open 6th string, and then we're going to play our E chord here. Now this is using the C chord shape out of Caged. If I played a C chord like this, which is not how we would normally, the fingers we would use, but that is how you play it, and I slid that all the way up to here, but then barred where the nut was as a capo. I've got an E chord. Now most of the time I'm not using my pinky when I do this, but in this case I wanted to include it just to show you how to play the chord properly. So then the embellishment is with your pinky. So you can come up here and take your pinky off and go to the 6th fret 3rd string, but you're playing strings 3 and 2. And then we're going to do a half bend on the 6th fret 4th string, and then come down to the 4th fret 4th string. And then we're going to play the B chord, but using the A chord shape. So we're repurposing a lot of what we're doing. So when I played that, this should make sense now, because look at what it is. It's a box now between the 6th fret and the 4th fret. There's your chord, there's your B chord, and you should be able to see it now. That same thing that we did over the A, I'm taking a few notes out of this, but it's out of the same place, the same little position there. And hopefully that makes sense as to why that works off the B chord. So we play the B like that, and then I went, and this is just walking from this B chord. I'm still playing the B chord, but I'm using this finger in the bass, or this note in the bass, so that would be the 6th fret 5th string. You can see I'm barring there on the 4th fret, first 4 strings. I've got that ring finger on the 6th fret 5th string, and that's, again, it's just one of those notes in the little box there. So you've got 2 ways you can play that chord. You can play it like this, kind of like the A chord shape, or you can play it up in this position, which is getting into the G chord shape out of Cage if we want to get super technical. But anyway, I don't want to digress too far. So I walked it up just like a bass player would do, and I used just one finger for that to go from the 4th fret to the 6th fret. And then another little embellishment with my pinky on the 6th fret 4th string, but I'm playing strings 4 and 3. So let's back it up from the beginning and play to that point. There's your E, here's your A. Back to the E. There's your B. Okay, now we're gonna go back to the E. So I just hit the open 6th string because I wanted to come up here and play a harmonized 3rd and show you this. Now what I'm doing is I've got my ring finger on the 9th fret 2nd string, index finger is on the 7th fret 1st string, and I'm playing out of this E chord shape now. So I'm picturing E chord, E chord, E chord. This will be the top part of that E chord up here. This is using the A shape, but I'm playing strings 1 and 2 out of that shape. And that's where that comes from. It's a harmonized 3rd. Slide that down 2 frets, and then we're going to go into this position, which would be middle finger on the 5th fret 2nd string, index finger on the 4th fret 1st string. This is just a major scale, which I covered in a lesson a few weeks ago on harmonized 3rds. You can look that one up. I can't remember the number. But anyway, we go hit the open 6th string. It's a nice embellishment. It sounds great in lieu of playing a full chord, right? And then we go to the 4 chord, which is the A, and I played. And what that is that's an A sus4, suspended 4 chord. Let me show you how to play it. So you bar the first 3 strings on the 5th fret, and then you take your middle finger, your ring finger and your pinky on the 7th fret, strings, 3 and 4 on the 7th fret. And then you throw in that open 5th string. So it sounds like that, and that's an A sus4 chord. Let me just explain sus chords, because this is another thing that will really help with your chord playing and enhancements around chords. A sus4 chord, you have 2 suspended chords. You have a 4 and a 2, and all it is the major scale. So if we were playing an A and looking at the A major scale, you have 1, and you know your chord is made up of the root 3rd and 5th, the 1, 3, and 5. So instead of the 3rd, we're going to make it the 4th. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 4, and then 5. That would be a sus4 chord. That's where the 4 comes from. And same with the 2, it's just the second. 1, 2, and then you do the 5. So that would be an A sus2. And you've heard that. It's an unresolved chord. That's why it's called a suspended chord, because it's not resolving to anything. It's the reason I'm mentioning that is now when you're playing chords and you're strumming chords, look at what you can do with these suspended chords. Like if I'm playing an A chord, I can take a finger off and get the sus2. I can add a finger, in this case it would be 3rd fret 2nd string, to get the sus4. But you hear that in a lot of music. Sounds a little better than just strumming the A chord. So the thing to remember with sus2 and 4 chords is you're going to want to make sure you know them off of your A shape, off of your E shape, right? And then off of your D shape. So if you know it off those 3 chord shapes, you can do just about anything, because now I can play an A sus4 or 2 in all these different positions. And you can do all these variations off of them. So once I come to that A sus4, I play a triplet, 1, 2, 3, string 1, 2, 3, and then I go ahead and play the A chord. I put my middle finger there on the 6th fret 3rd string to resolve it. See how it unresolved, resolved. So then we go back to the 1 chord, and the way I did it there was a Keith Richards move, or I always think of this as the Keith Richards thing. Play the open 6th string, and then I'm just barring there on the 4th fret, playing strings 4, 3, and 2, a little triad there. And I do a hammer on with my middle finger, the 5th fret 2nd string, ring finger to 6th fret 4th string. And all that is your C chord shape. We're just not using the pinky there. Okay? And then we go to the 5 chord, which is the B. And I'm just playing a B7 chord actually down here with my pinky on the 2nd fret 1st string so that I can go back to the E. Now that's another little takeaway, nice takeaway to remember when you're playing the 5 chord down here, or playing this B7 chord. You've got this little half bend that you can do and to get back to the 1 chord. It sounds really good. It's easy to remember. So that's pinky on the 2nd fret 1st string, a bend and release, open 1, 2nd fret 2nd string, back to the 1 string. And then to resolve it, we have... Now that should sound familiar because that's the E sus4 chord, resolving back to the E chord. And to do that, I'm just hammering on with my pinky to the 2nd fret 3rd string, open 3rd, or actually the 3rd, just the 3rd string behind the E chord here. I've got my index finger on the 1st fret. Do the hammer on, open 2nd string, open 1, take your pinky off to resolve onto the E chord. And so all of that is just a series of little embellishments and ideas, you know, to help you play some more interesting things. When you're playing an E chord now, don't just think of this. You've got other positions and other licks and things. And so it's just a matter of, over time, once you understand just these basics, you can start really adding to these. Make sure you get your sus2s and your sus4s off the E shape, the A shape, and the D shape. And the rest of it, I guess I explained. So let me back up. I'll play through it one more time slowly. And remember, as a premium member, you have access to the 2nd video where I explain how to transpose this and play it in other keys. And you also have access to the tablature for both. So I'm going to back up, play through it one more time, and then we'll see you in the next video. All right, so we have